Hey, folks, it's Lindsey Hudson with SPS back in the building. Another SPS Edge Show. That's right. You see all these handsome gentlemen I have a great opportunity to work with. Mine is one young Jedi who's not with us tonight, but he'll be back. I know he's negotiating this big contract right now, referring to Terry McCord Jr. But we have Mr. Orlando Watkins. He has a helicopter arriving probably in about 30 minutes. He's going to have to do a superhero Punisher type, escape from what's going on, but he'll be with us for a while. We appreciate you, O. We have John and Patrick Rutherford, great group of gentlemen, my guys. How you guys doing?
Very good.
And I know pretty soon we got some listeners who'll be joining us, including Aaron Mays will be popping in. I know he got his top 5 ready for you, Patrick. And then also my mama, Trisha England. I know she said she's going to be, listening and contributing, but we got a great group of people. So with no further ado, we will get started, gentlemen. Man, it seems like the young ladies can't get no break out here. No break. We'll start. Aaron starts off. This one for you, Pat. You said, I come in peace, Patrick. In peace. We don't want no problems, man. We don't want no problems. That's awesome, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate Aaron and what he contributes. Let's start with this beautiful young lady right here. Beautiful not just because of her looks. I'll give the sister all her props, no doubt. But beautiful in what the beautiful struggle, I'll say, that she's dealing with and going through. I'm talking no other than Simone Biles, who has removed herself from competition right now, and whether there's been a backlash, whatever you want to call it, there's been a lot of discussion about what's been going on. And that's what we can talk about today. But, Patrick, I think of you because I know the great discussion we had last week with Naomi Osaka. Did I say Osaka or Osaka? I want to get clarity.
Osaka.
I'm sorry. I should know better. But first of all, I want to say there needs to be a thank you note from Simone sent to Naomi. Because they say the first one through the glass is the bloodiest.
Right.
I want to read a quote from one of Simone's sponsors, and I think this is really good. And I thought about you too, John, when I saw this, and I'll share this. Simone Biles sponsored laud brave decision to withdraw from Olympic final. Sponsors of Simone Biles praised the Olympic gymnast after her decision to withdraw from the all-around gymnastic competition and prioritize her mental health, calling the move brave and courageous. We stand by Simone and support her well-being both in and out of competition. Being the best also means knowing how to take care of yourself. We are inspired by her leadership today and are behind her every step of the way. Gap Incorporated spokesperson told the Hill statement. Gap owns the women's sports brand Athleta, which is sponsored by since April after she left her partnership with Nike. The Team Visa family recognizes her incredibly brave decision, which shows how Simone is able to inspire both on and off the mat. Visa. Come on, man. Major sponsors giving her major support, and that's great. But I'll start with you, Orlando, by having a beautiful young lady, your daughter, who is involved in this sports world. We could just as easily be saying Kyra Jefferson as we say Naomi or Simone, dealing with the Nikes of the world. I mean, that was great. But, where was those kind of statements a couple months ago for Naomi? And what do you think? Do you even think that would have been the case had Naomi had gone through what she gone through? And then whatever else you think about this issue. I'll start with you, Orlando, while we have you.
I think that the big corps have had a chance to sit back and think about what they're doing. I mean, the bottom line is, what do these two young ladies owe us? They don't owe us anything. They are competitive athletes, and that's all. They make their own decisions. We don't pull their strings. Their decisions are their own. I think the biggest thing for me is I'm glad to see the corporate backing and the positivity. But what really hurts me and what's really confusing, and I think is really dangerous in the long run, are these right-wing pundits that have something to say about the situation. It's god awful, the stuff that's being said on the right. This is not a political issue. This is sports. This is about an individual that's saying, hey, wait a minute, I need to step back and take care of myself. And somehow that's unpatriotic. Somehow the right wing, and I won't say Republican, we'll just say right wing extremists, have just latched on to this. And it's gotten to a point where it's absolutely ridiculous. It's insane.
Yeah, I get it. Our guy Aaron, always on it, says sponsors were being smart. They did not want any backlash, meaning sales. Yeah, they saw what went on with Naomi, and I definitely appreciate your comments. You're absolutely right, both Aaron and Orlando. And before I get to Patrick and John, I just want to stay on that. I like that you just went there, Orlando, kind of like that Punisher chain around your neck. You ain't playing with it. The political aspect of it. And it's almost like what they say in the news when there's a slow news day, you hear this kind of conversation. That's showing you that the right don't have no base. They don't have no subject to talk about. So they go say, let's attach with the LeBrons, the Naomi, and the Simone. And there's something I want to share with you guys. I shared with my mother. I saw on Facebook, and I'm not using Facebook as the credible source, but my point being is, it's so sad, the subtle yet obvious racial undertone with this. Someone made a good point. Why is it that young black women have to be objectified in the sense that they got to perform, they got to do what they got to do when we need to do it, and if you don't do it, despite your health, you consider unpatriotic. I had one guy who kind of hits my social media every now and then. I won't even say a name because he's probably not watching this, but he called her a coward, Orlando.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
He said he was a coward, guys. And when I was setting up, the show, and when I was looking at what I was going to put out there, and I ended up going with Simone Biles, Olympics, and mental health, I thought about saying coward or courageous, but I'm like, I'm not even putting that out there to circulate.
No.
Yeah, I'm like, and the benefit, John, of having my own show is that I don't have to do what the producers say I got to do. No, we go with this. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things, man. So I just want to say, Orlando, I totally get what you're saying. I can appreciate you speaking on the other political part. And as I go to you, Patrick, to get your thoughts on it, I'll just say, I think that's not to be looked away, because if you keep riling up the right in these down election years, you got to have them primed and stoked to go into something when it's election time to show how somehow this little black girl that's way, and I say this respectfully, this black woman way over in Tokyo, not competing and finishing in the Olympics, has an impact on your quality of life. Somehow Naomi Osaka withdrawing from Wimbledon has an impact on your quality of life, and that's the impact how you vote and who you vote for. Aaron came on and said, great point, Coach. Oh, no doubt. So, Patrick, you've done a good job, and I worked on doing my homework. I went back and watched some of the Netflix with Naomi, and man, and to your point too, John, you had told me about it. Watching her body language, man, I'm like, damn, it's a good thing she can play tennis, man, because she got a lot going on. And I'll say this as I defer to you, Patrick. At our age, all of us, we've at least been able to live a certain life where we've had minimum access and influence of social media compared to what these individuals are going through. And I don't even think I can imagine, even in my sports psychology world, I can even imagine what it's like. Patrick, tell me what you're thinking about this. Coward or courageous, that statement. What do you think?
Well, I would never even put that word anywhere near Simone Biles. This is a gold medal. How many she got? She's got multiple.
Well,
she's been a star for years.
Here's a direct question for you. Here's a direct question. Is she still the GOAT?
Yeah. Until somebody dethrone her for real on her stage.
You say, I like that. You said dethrone her for real. Yeah.
Yeah. Dethrone her for real on her stage. When she's healthy. Mental health is a major thing now, and it always has been, but people are more comfortable to talk about it. And, I would never put coward near her name at all. Yeah. This is a woman that has accomplished things that are on people's bucket list. Let's be honest. I mean, dreams, she's got dreams on her checklist. So, she deserves respect from anybody.
This visual, and I don't want to read too much into it, but can we see it on her face right here in this picture?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we see it, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to look at that. My question, and the reason I posed that GOAT question, because somebody said, how is she the GOAT if she backed out? But I'm like, this kind of make her GOAT. This is kind of GOATish right here, that she can be like, no, I'm good, I'm straight, drop the mic, and do that.
First of all, she has multiple. I'm not sure what they call it because I'm not a super fan of that sport or anything, but she's done multiple moves that have never been done by any other person in competition. So just from her competing, just from her play on the mat, just from what she does in that gym, she is the GOAT.
Michael Phelps, who is considered one of the greatest Olympians, he had a comment. He said he cried for her. So right. he said he felt, he was like, I feel you. Absolutely. I mean, I think it's something to be said about this white male who I think a lot of the conservatives kind of threw under the bus when they realized that he was bumping Lil Weezy, Lil Wayne, and he smokes what he smokes, and right. he get down. But it's almost like that. Don, I'll go to you. You've had the benefit of seeing Olympics, from the gentlemen raising their fists in the backlash when they came home. I mean, not to necessarily compare the two, but it's almost like here we go again, where these black athletes are getting, digitally persecuted. Digitally persecuted.
Good term.
Hey, we made it right here. You guys gave me that energy. And just tell me what you think, John.
Well, first of all, let's not forget that this is a young woman who was sexually abused by Dr. Nasser. She is in the lawsuit, in the record, in the legal books, as being a recipient of money that he owes victims. To even come back after being sexually abused as a young girl and continue that sport, you're going to tell me that you're going to use the word coward? This girl has more fortitude and more courage underneath her baby fingernail than 99.9 of the people that walk the face of this earth. To come back from an incident like that and to even participate in that sport? Do you know the trauma that she had to go through? And to come out and compete and to do things and accomplish things and forget about it. How about she goes into a coach one day and she says, I'm going to use this quadruple move. Coach says, no, you're not. It's never been done. She says, sit down and watch. She had enough courage to try that when probably everybody around her said it can't be done. So the courage that she's shown as a young girl to get where she is right now, man, I'm going to tell you what, sweetheart. I take my hat off to you, and I say to myself every day, I wish we had more of you in this world.
Yeah.
That's what I got to say.
Aaron, I appreciate that. Aaron had a great comment. Aaron Mays, our guy, says, by her dropping out of team competition, that gave her team a chance for the silver. That's selfless decision. She is a team player. I want to put another term out there that I've heard. Well, I have to admit that I think I've pieced this term together, and I'm going to write it just so you can see it. And I call it faux patriotism, like that fake patriotism. Like, fake fur. This this patriotism we gotta have when we go America. We drop the A, so it's about America. And, say it to say it, but you can't really back it up. And it's like, when are we going to accept the fact that all the things and all the strides we made in America lead us to this, this aftermath of what's left? It's like what's left is what's happening to our children. What's left is what people are going through, the mental health and the mental stress people are going through. I mean, in my work on a regular basis, to be honest, I'll put this out here. I was in communication with, United States Army in Fort Bragg to support soldiers, special forces, U.S. 101st Airborne, and this is throughout the country. This is public information. Bases throughout the country, gentlemen, are looking to get people with my background to come in and help these individuals about to be deployed. But yet and still, when the name is mentioned, you have those who are out here who screaming that it's not courageous on our part. And that may be a very small minority, but it's just unfortunate. So here's what I'll ask you guys. What is the prediction going forward of the mental health discussion in America? Do you think it may die down like the Olympic Flames do after the Olympics? Or is this going to be a constant count? I see you shaking your head, Patrick. What do you think? Orlando said the same thing. You say no?
No, because too many people experience it close to them, within maybe a family member or themselves, and I think it's too common now for it to flame out. Honestly.
Yeah, I like that. Orlando, you were in agreement?
Yeah, I'm in agreement that the attitude is changing. I mean, at this point, the athlete is concerned, and they should be, about their well-being first. The point is that the days of that iron, I don't want to sound sexist, the iron person, that tough individual that strides through everything. I'm hurt, this, that. Those days are gone. I think we're going to see more and more things pop up because, I mean, we're still in the midst of a pandemic. We're still dealing with stressors just from that. But we're still pushing for that entertainment, these games, our sport, to continue on. You're going to see it. I guarantee football season starts. You're going to see a lot of football players sitting, hey, I can't play this week. I need to sit back and take care of myself. Because at the end of the day, and I had to say it's always about, for me, it's the rich versus the poor.
Right.
Because the only people that are making money off of these sports are the extremely rich. Why am I busting my ass, ruining my life to make somebody rich? Yeah, I may be getting fairly compensated.
Not in the Olympics.
Not in the Olympics, but at the end of the day,
yeah.
I'm not the one seeing the vast majority of the benefits coming from me banging my head, me playing with a broke toe, me going through all this stress. I'm not reaping all the benefits. They are.
Right.
Yeah. I put that comment up. Mental hygiene is important. We think about our physical hygiene. Some of us can't go half a day, definitely not a day, definitely not 2 days without bathing. So imagine, we have to give our minds that type of support too, to step away, to pull back. And can any of us imagine your name trending on Twitter, on social media, that your actual name is a hashtag with all kind of comments, unfiltered comments about you? Because it's not like everybody got something positive to say. John, I know you was a man when you was younger, but you didn't have no Twitter follow behind your name, huh?
Well, you're right. And I mean, that's something that, because you see young people, they in the gym, they're working out, and it pisses me off sometimes because they sit at a machine and they're looking at their phones. They spend so much time. So, and then, you take Patrick, for example, to me, he's too sensitive sometimes. Okay. That's the difference in how I grew up and how he grew up. Like Orlando was saying, his father, Rocky, and me, and the way my father raised me, hey, look it, pick your ass up and move. You get your ass kicked once in a while. So what? Pick yourself up and move. Oh, well, I'm a little down there. Well, you better turn that around fast, young man. I'll give you something. You crying? Oh, I'm gonna give you something to cry about. Right. A good ass whooping. Okay. Right. Well, that stuff doesn't go anymore. Okay. It doesn't happen. And the way Orlando's exactly right. The way the world is functioning right now is real disturbing to a lot of people, because you have all these things. You not only have the pandemic, but you're seeing severe weather all over the world.
Global warming.
There's things that are happening right in front of people that they can see. I was talking to a professor at Wayne State, hadn't had a raise in 7 years. People are experiencing these things in their life. They're seeing it on a daily basis. And it's a challenge to your mental health. There's no doubt about it. It's something that is here. And as long as we stay on this path, it's going to continue and it's going to get bigger. It's a snowball rolling down the hill.
And what I'll say before we go to our next topic, and also we go to a quick break from our sponsors, and this is not me personally, because I'm very fortunate that despite my commitment to sports psychology consulting, I'm able to make a living for myself. You got to pay people. They got to put the resources up here. You can't just do one of those, go bring a speaker in. No. People need constant support. They need somebody. I was speaking with someone in the military, and she said you need consistency. That means you got to get somebody the resources, and you can't pay them, along the lines of something where they got to make a decision. Do they even want to take the job compared to that? So that's something we got to look at. But what we'll do, guys, before we bring on the subject of Texas and OU to the SEC and what's next.
I'm ready for this one.
You ready for this one? You ready to go?
Right. Baby,
I'm gonna have to
take you guys to school.
Real quick, because I'm gonna have to bow out. But I'm not sure how many people are familiar with Apple Television's Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Series.
Yep.
Phenomenal series, excellent series. The new season is out. The very first episode, what this entire season of Ted Lasso is about mental health. They open up with one of the soccer players accidentally. I don't want to spoiler alert.
Right.
If you haven't seen the episode, spoiler alert.
On every Fridays.
Yeah. They open up that episode. He's kicking, going to kick for the goal, kills the mascot dog. He's traumatized.
Right.
The entire first episode, they bring in a psychiatrist to work with the team, and this is where the entire season is going to surround them introducing this character to this soccer team. And a vital piece,
right,
is a psychiatrist.
Oh,
that show had over 20 nominations for all kind of awards. One of the best shows out right
now. It's one of the best shows.
It's amazing. The funny thing is how pop culture plays a role in introducing things. What were you going to say, John?
Well, I just want to say that what Orlando's talking about was the most watched Apple season premiere in their history. The Ted Lasso, the first episode of the second season.
Okay, we'll check it out. Before you go, Orlando, I want you to be part. I want to thank Horatio Williams Foundation for their support, Gilead Sciences, Dick's Sporting Good, and as you know, guys, in October we'll be headed to some basketball, sponsored by Team Michigan. So we'll let that take you away, and when we come back, it'll be myself, John, and Patrick, and all our listeners. And Orlando, thank you for your help, and you have a great game tonight. So with that,
see you guys next week.
All right, appreciate you.
No. Position.
Breaking news! Team Michigan Basketball is presenting a series of basketball tournaments at Grand Traverse Resort and Spa. Get your teams registered today. The first tournament in the series is coming this Halloween weekend. Visit basketball.com or teammichiganbasketball.com for more information.
Hey guys, we're back. Myself, Lindsey Huddleston with SPS, John and Patrick Rutherford, and our viewers and listeners. We had a great time with Orlando. We definitely watched Ted Lasso. We probably skipped to the second episode because we already know what the first episode is going to be about. But that's all right. I'm having fun. John, you said you was ready for this, man. We're talking about Texas and OU going to the SEC, man. I mean, we kind of put it out there last week, but now we know it's going down. With your excitement, man, we'll let you start with this. Tell us what's to be expected. And my only question out there is who's next, man? You know, or what should we expect from this? What do you got?
Well, Lindsay, this is how we ended the first segment about what's happening in the world. This is a perfect example. Okay, this is ESPN. This is a huge corporate raid that was engineered by ESPN to try to eliminate Fox College football from the equation. This is who they're taking on. And you have to go back now to 2019 when Disney bought part of Rupert Murdoch's Fox Corporation. They bought 21st Century Fox, their movie studios, their TV studios, but they didn't buy Fox Sports, college sports. Sinclair Broadcasting owns the rights to Fox college football. Okay, they own that. So ESPN is trying to eliminate them, and I'm going to take you back to ESPN knocking out the Big East.
Oh, okay.
They owned the rights to the ACC until 2036. Okay, so, and by the way, the ACC has gone in and said to ESPN, we want to renegotiate, and ESPN has told them, no way. You know, ESPN, they really don't get as much money as the other conferences, the ACC. But getting back to where we're at, you have CBS owns the big rights to the SEC through the 2024 season. In August of 2019, the Southeast Conference went to CBS and said, hey, look it, you're way behind in payment fees. You don't pay us enough. Here's how much money you're making. Here's what you're giving us. We want to renegotiate the deal. Viacom, which owns CBS, told the Southeast Conference, no. And they're making huge profits on Saturday afternoon, broadcasting that 3:30 SEC game of the week and their championship game. And I think 2 or 3 times a year they have a doubleheader. So they own that contract through 2024. ESPN has already negotiated a deal and is going to take over the exclusive rights of the Southeastern Conference in 2025. So now you take that part of the equation and you put it at the top. And then you come with, why did they do this? Well, NIL. Once that was settled, now you got the elephant out of the room. Okay, now you know that they're going to be able to get paid and you're not going to have to pay them. So this opens the door to, hey, baby, let's control this whole thing. Let's buy it all and let's control it. Then you have the NCAA director saying 2 weeks ago, before this merger was announced, well, we have to change the way we do business. Now, we hit on it last week a little bit. There's going to be a super conference or super conferences like of about 32 teams, 40 teams, and they're going to be on their own. And this is what ESPN is ahead of the curve on everybody. They want to own it. They want to own it all. This is for contents. You talk to a young person about a web page or, Twitter or anything. It's content. Content
is king.
So ESPN is buying content. Okay. Now they're doing this. And now what happens? You ask a question. What's next? Well, now I want to bring in a little history because not so fast, my friend. Texas and Oklahoma want to go. They signed a contract when the Big 12 got raided for Missouri and Texas A&M, they signed a contract to stay together and have this entity for 99-year contract. And guess who headed the charge that this be a 99-year contract? The University of Texas.
Wow.
Okay. So now, if there's only one team left in the Big 12, they have the power in their agreement, their conference agreement that they all signed, that they can sue any entity. And in this case, the Southeast Conference, ESPN. They can sue the University of Texas individually. They can sue the University of Oklahoma. And guess where they incorporated? They incorporated in Delaware, so they would have to go to federal court in Delaware, not in Texas.
Yeah. That's what a lot of these empty corporations incorporate at in Delaware.
Man, this is a content grab. This is they ESPN and Disney. And you know it's funny because Disney bought most of Rupert Murdoch's stuff for $71 billion. But it didn't include the Fox News, which you get still, the Rupert Murdoch version of the news, and Sinclair Broadcasting, which is a very conservative to the right of Fox.
Right of Fox.
Oh, yes, Sinclair. And they're buying as many local stations around the country as they can. But they own the Fox football that you watch, college football, on Saturdays, where Gus Johnson's the lead announcer, is owned by Sinclair Broadcasting.
So it won't be Bally?
No, Bally is just the Detroit.
Oh,
Okay. Bally bought the local Detroit, Fox Sports Detroit. They call it Bally Detroit now. But, that's who ESPN, they got their. See, here's another thing. If ESPN can convince these people to leave the NCAA, that's another mouth that doesn't have to be fed.
boom.
Right.
You understand? So now the individual conference in the school doesn't have to give part of the money to the NCAA.
Right.
Now I want to tell you one final thing, Lindsay.
Sure.
It's something to think about. With the new contract that ESPN is going to take over the exclusive rights of the Southeast Conference in the year 2025, with the amount of money they're going to get, okay, because they signed the contract already for $3 billion, okay?
Crazy.
Oh,
They will still be, each school will still be $9 million below what each Big Ten member gets off their television rights.
That's
They'll
amazing.
still be behind the Big Ten. So the Big Ten is sitting here, and in my personal opinion, if I was the Big Ten, I would hit the ACC. I'd go get North Carolina. I'd go get Duke. Now,
Football and basketball, or are you saying football?
no, I'd say for everything.
they're both decent.
And I want to tell you this too,
At
Lindsay,
football.
that the American Athletic Conference with
Cincinnati.
ESPN lawyers have already gone to the remaining schools in the Big 12 to say, we're not going to be you. You're going to have to come with us. Now and the Big 12 sent a letter to ESPN on Tuesday evening of stop contact with all
Cease and desist.
all contact with all our members. If you don't, we're going to sue you. So this thing is not over yet. If Texas and them want to leave, if Texas and Oklahoma want to leave, they have to pay the Big 12 $80 million if they want to leave before 2025. Now, ESPN is Texas Longhorns television network partner, and they could soften the blow by buying that network from them. They already made the price of $55 million that would help pay the Big 12 part of the $80 million that they want, and then they'll roll the Texas Longhorn network into the Southeast Conference Network. So,
John, first of all, were you on the jet when they were flying over and discussing the strategy? Because you got all the information, man.
well, listen, Lindsay. I used to go to the Big East basketball tournament, and I was a big fan. You know, that was the first thing when ESPN first started, and those 3 teachers owned it in Connecticut. That's all they had was Sports Center and Big East basketball. And I mean, you'd have to watch the same game 7 times before a new game came on. and they got mad because the Big East wanted more money from them. And they got mad at him. ESPN got mad at him, and they went out and broke them and brought in the ACC and made, which is currently, stole those teams from the Big East and put them in the ACC. So I've been watching. This is the same playbook they're using now with Texas and Oklahoma. And I have so many friends on, that have made a living in college sports. Whether it be a player or whether it be a coach or an administrator. And this is something that's always interests me, especially when I got close to things up at Michigan State and I started to understand and see how much money they were getting in from this television network. So it's something that I follow and I go and I look up these things and I have places, people send me to places to find out. So I know exactly how much each school makes every year off how much they're getting off their television networks. And I know what's happening with the SEC and where they're going. So this is, what ESPN wants is they want to have one big 32 team, just like the NFL.
John is dialed in. Great breakdown.
And now, and they wanna own it all, the content.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with Aaron's comment. I mean, Patrick, obviously, you live with the man. How it goes. The one thing I didn't hear, and John, in your great breakdown, and I know you're thorough, the one thing I did not hear was kids, players, student athletes.
You're exactly right, Lindsay, and this is what makes people's mental health in jeopardy every day is because the ESPN does not care about this. Once the NIL was signed, sealed, and delivered, and they knew it was going to happen, okay? They said, well, hell, we don't have to pay them.
Right.
Okay? So they don't care about this. They don't care. They're the ones that have initiated the 12-team playoff. It's ESPN. This is the way of the world. I said last week, 4 companies own 90% of the food that you go into Kroger or buy. And this is what's happening. This is what's happening with the world. The conglomerates, the rich, they own everything. And the rest of us are just pawns in the game. And the kids are the pawns. And you're going to see some coaches are not going to be able to deal with it. And some kids are not going to be able to deal with it. But ESPN doesn't care. And you know what the sad part about it all is? This is Disney writing the check.
That's right.
This is Disney.
Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is a gangster. Mickey Mouse is a gangster.
When we need you. I mean, they don't care. They don't care about the kids. All they care about is if I get Alabama playing Oklahoma on Saturday night, 8 o'clock on ESPN, how much can I charge for that 60-second spot, that 90-second spot? How much can I charge when I pop up some damn logo on the right top of the screen and another logo on the bottom left and another logo on the top right? Hell, and I watch baseball games now. They got a logo on the pitching mound. I mean, and this changes like with every batter. So, I mean, they just find more ways to suck money out And what better way? I don't have to pay the kid. You know, like, hey, you want to make some money, kid? Go and sell a T-shirt. You know, you have a right to sell your image, but they don't have to pay them.
Personally, I don't think that. I think it like. So I agree with everything my dad said. Everything is facts, you know, and ESPN and them have been in discussions for years about this, and they've been planning this, and it's shaking the world up, and it does have something to do with how the world is now and everything. But also, we cannot forget that bubbles pop. You know, industries get so big, and bubbles pop, and there's going to be some reforming after the bubble pop. And I think that the NCAA has gone so long and operated the way they went so long. I think this is just the NCAA's bubble is popping.
That's right.
Okay. And now with TV contracts, just like you see pro athletes making $100 million a year, Dak Prescott made $100 million this year. And he hasn't even played. He's been injured and he hasn't even played it down yet. But you see this is because all the TV contracts. People want to sell products, okay? And if you look at it, how it's going, if the SEC does what they want to do, which they want to go to about 20 teams, right?
Well, they're at 16 with Texas.
They're at 16 with Texas in them, but they want 20. They want Ohio State and Clemson if they can get them. Yeah, they want to be as big as possible, okay? So now you're talking about 20 teams. You're talking about 20 teams, and literally 7 to 10 of them every year are in the top 10. Okay? Now, when you move this over and you detach it from the NCAA, okay? You're talking about more money and all this. Well, these kids they're gonna have to pay somebody. There's gonna have to be a salary or something. They're gonna have to be something that's gonna come up. Or if they're gonna reform the NIL to make it even better than what it is.
No, they're probably gonna punt to NIL. We got NIL, so you can get nothing.
If you think about it, they're gonna have the all-time brand of basically G League football. This is basically pro football, but it's like, you know, you get what I'm saying? So, you know, these boys are going to make more money. And then you also have to think about this. These teams that were at the bottom of the SEC, your Vanderbilts, your Kentuckys, your South Carolinas, they're going to get better now. Because kids are going to want to play in this.
Right. Because it's not just being dominated by the big boys.
To the league. You go to the SEC and make a name for yourself, you're going to the NFL.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
If you can get recruited by the SEC now.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's going to go up, though.
And you know another thing, too, Lindsay, as long as we have people in this country that are poor, you know, they're gonna look to sports as a way out. Yeah. Now I want to give you an example. I have several friends of mine that are retired now, but just recently retired, were high school football coaches that I've known since I was a kid in the suburbs. And one of their complaints is not enough kids want to play football. I'm talking about Grosse Pointe, Sterling Heights, other places in the suburbs. Patrick and I go down to King every summer, high school in Detroit, to watch a jamboree of PAL football. And, man, I'm going to tell you what, 100 kids on a team.
Mama's dressed up with team gear. Heavy traffic on one side of the field. People that are striving to get ahead, that are at the low of the income bracket, have dominated sports. There is no shortage of football players in the city of Detroit.
Right.
So as long as those schools got kids, and I'm going to tell you something. I had a guy come up to me today in the gym, my age. I can't stand a son of a bitch. He talks to me. I'm just friendly to him. He says to me, and he knows Patrick's my son. He says to me, what's this about? The NFL's going to play the Black National Anthem? Now, this guy lives and dies NFL. He would actually kiss Tom Brady's feet if he came around. There's no doubt in my mind. And he says, hell, I gotta now rethink whether I'm gonna watch this stuff. And I said, well, that's too bad. I said, I don't watch the national anthem in any sports event. I watch for the game. And I moved about my business. But
why do they equate patriotism with sports?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are we doing?
I was talking about. That's that fake patriotism.
James Naismith not right basketball to.
They got to put
to play the national anthem and for it to be a patriot, stage, a patriotic stage to show how much you love your country. Like, that is not what sports is about. When you're a little kid, when you're 5 years old and you're playing at the YMCA, ain't nobody saying, hey, you're doing this for your country.
Yeah.
What the hell are we doing here?
I mean, I think that's an excellent segue, guys. I couldn't help that. I just think that we've been indoctrinated for so long, which is probably part of the reason why, there's a genuine concern for USA basketball right now. Now, they were successful. They had a rout over Iran. That's not surprising. I mean, how many guys from Iran are in the league? I mean, I think one of the guys was 36 and he had been in the league years ago. But, I mean, I think that's an excellent segue. My question to you guys is, when the Olympics is over, will USAB get bronze, silver, gold, or fill in the blank? What do you think is going to happen with that, Patrick?
I'm still betting on them to get gold. I hope they can pull it together with the losses they've had, and they know it's not as sweet as they thought it would be. And I'm hoping they get it through. But, you never know these days. It's like I've been saying on the show for the past couple of weeks. It's not the same as what it used to be. And these guys are brands, and they're there for different reasons. And you never know.
Let's loop back around and use the discussion we just left with the SEC, for example. Yeah. Could it be the possibility that when we looked at the Dream Team several decades ago, and how you had players on opposing teams getting autographs, taking pictures with them, that the growth of the brand of basketball has grown so much that we pretty much have cannibalized ourselves by growing the game so much throughout the world. Not like in what is it, Carlito's Way, the little dude that you smack coming up.
All right.
Now, I use that example, John, because you talk about the growth of the SEC or these super conferences. In what way can this growth be to the detriment of the game? Does the game get too big and bad where guys can't even get to the next level? Those kids that were at the Jamboree, it just becomes harder and harder. I mean, can this actually lead to a form of cannibalism in amateur sports in college?
Well, I mean,
no way.
You have to remember that the game of basketball has grown, and you take like foreign basketball, European basketball. I mean, naturally, they're better now than they were 25 years ago or 30 years ago.
Yes,
wow.
Yes,
they're better.
Yes,
and do you know the guy that coaches at Davidson, and forgive me for not remembering his name right now, but he's a good friend of a friend of mine, and I've met the guy a few times. But he coaches at Davidson. As soon as the season's over, he's been going to Europe for 20 years. He makes more money in Europe coaching basketball in Europe than he does here. He comes back and coaches Davidson.
Matt McClifford?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's guys, you know the name Ganakis, right?
Yeah, Gus Ganakis.
Ganakis, for years, when he got fired at Michigan State, was in charge of basketball in Uruguay. Okay, that's where he went on. That's what the job he got and the money he made when he got fired from Michigan State. So, you know, guys been going around the world from here for a long time. And those guys are getting better. But you know, I still think when the dust settles that I agree with Patrick, the USA will get, you know, they'll get the gold. And, you know, basketball is just, you know, here we go with the NBA. They're the best in the world. And they want that brand. They want those jerseys. They want those games. They want it all over the world. So
did you by any chance catch the 19 under championships?
I did not.
Okay. Well, USA ended up, was it France in the championship?
Argentina, one of the,
I believe it was France.
Right.
Okay. Now, I told you last week, I said on the show that another problem is that we've gone to playing European basketball here with the physicality, the way we call the game, and the way they want, because they want more points, it sells more tickets, and it's nonsense. So some of these games you're going to play their game, and that's not what it's been. They've always had to play our game. Now, USA FIBA, the 19 and under, had a phenomenal team, and you know how they ended up winning? They almost lost the gold to France. You know how they ended up winning? A 6'7" tweener took it to the paint and dominated the paint. Had a belly on him, nice belly on him, a little keg on him, and just dominated the paint. They couldn't. He was just too physical. It was like watching Larry Johnson play against high school kids when he was in college. I mean, it was like he was just physically dominant, and it took France out of the game, and then USA pulled away. If it wasn't for that kid, USA would have lost because Chet Holmgren and all them was shooting 30-footers.
Yeah, yeah, they lost that. I mean, you know what, guys, and I'm a huge fan of USA basketball, and I'm not trying to spit no venom, but I'm a little concerned. And the reason why I say that is because I think there's such a expectation to perform, and for some reason, and this is not a knock on those guys, but these are not the guys that we saw decades ago. They're just not them. And I don't think it's fair to compare them. Now, going back to those earlier conversations, people may say that, what's that, Patrick?
It's not fair to compare them. The world is better now.
Yeah, we're in agreement with that. But also, I will go back to say, but even with the Simone Biles discussion, you know, whether it's a very small minority, a very small vocal minority, and the digital platforms allow a vocal minority to have a voice that we think is bigger than what it really is, you know, people still have this expectation. And it's really based on the fact that, you know, these guys are making a lot of money, and, you know, haters go hate, and they don't want to hear it. But I just really worry about the expectation that they can bring it all together. And the one thing that the Dream Team had going for them is they kind of won the games before they stepped on the court. And I think that's a huge, huge advantage, man. I mean, they won. I mean, Charles Barkley was their ambassador when he was going on the Rumba at night. They were just in awe, you know. I got my homeboy Demetrius Meehead Black here. Team ain't got enough big fellas, bro. That's my guy right there, Meehead. That's my best friend right there.
And the whole aspect of social life is different now. Like, I get to see LeBron James every single day, bro. Like, I know if he having Taco Tuesday with his family. Like, I know what he having for dinner, bro. I know what time he went to work out. Like, you didn't have none of that with the Dream Team, bro. All you saw them was play NBA games if you had that time in your country.
There was a mistake.
You wouldn't have been able to see Michael Jordan play for the Bulls if you was in some of these other countries. You might never saw it. So, like, when they came, it was like, oh, my God, it's the first time, bro. The NBA has grown so much on those guys' backs because of them. Because of Michael Jordan going around the world and doing world tours and stuff. The game has grown, but there's billions of people in China watching NBA basketball now. Like in Greece, all over the world, these kids, and then now you get to go on Instagram and Facebook, and then you get to go to Twitter and hear these guys' actual thoughts. Damian Lillard and Kevin Durant and all these guys are very vocal.
It's their game and their mentality now compared to what you was gonna have the real John, like old school, watching film and splicing the film. You know, well,
some of these countries, like to me, Slovenia is a anomaly because they have Luka. But we're talking about a country that has the freaking population of Ohio, man.
Yeah.
Like, they're not supposed to compete with us at all.
For anything.
We got more kids playing high school basketball than they got in their entire country. What's going on here?
You're supposed to beat them in checkers is the expectation.
Exactly. But that's the money comes involved, and you get these guys that are just there for their brand, and do they really want to be there? I'm not sure. All of that comes into play, you know what I mean? Because on paper, nobody can compete with us on paper, and they shouldn't be able to on the court. They lost to Nigeria. They had like 4 NBA basketball players. None of them were starters. All of them were bottom of the roster guys. They're starting 5 first NBA all-teamers. Like, come on, man, you gotta do better. But it's like I said,
Nigerians to say in the locker room when they talk about when they played against a Kevin Durant or a Dame Lillard that years ago people didn't have that kind of insight to say this is what we can do. And can you imagine prior to the NBA season when you playing an NBA game as Kevin Durant, you don't know that Nigerian team member, like, oh yeah, I'm checking you out because we gonna play you guys in the Olympics. They're kind of like something the calendar. Well, it's something to say, guys. What I'm going to do, we're going to take another break. And we come back, I'm going to prompt Aaron Mays to get his top 5 ready.
Top 5 dead or alive, baby.
Top 5 dead or alive, baby. We'll talk about that. And we'll also segue and wrap up with the NBA draft. Is it going to be a Cade, homecoming? We will see what's up. We'll take a quick break, sponsored by Team Michigan. But before we go there, I also want to thank Horatio Williams and the Horatio Williams Foundation. My guy H is a good guy. Also, Big Sporting Goods, what they done. Hold on for a second, Patrick. Give me 1 second. Big Sporting Good, as well as Gilead Sciences, and then of course, Team Michigan, the booster ball coming up in October.
Who it is, baby, and I'm here to tell you about the new youth basketball tournament in Michigan. Team Michigan basketball has done the work. It's prime time. They are PTPers, baby. Get ready for a scary good basketball tournament Halloween weekend at the venue of all venues, Baby Grand Traverse Resort. I'm talking about a diaper dandy, baby. I mean awesome with a capital A. A basketball tournament that is designed with the entire family in mind. Escape to a 900-acre northern Michigan resort just outside of Traverse City. Enjoy 54 holes of championship golf, spa, indoor-outdoor tennis, indoor water playground, fitness center, private beach club, 4 restaurants, shopping, and now basketball. I can't wait, baby! It's the stay to play that will make your day! Halloween Weekend 2021. Check it out at www.boosketball.com. Register your team soon. This one is going to fill up quickly. A basketball tournament at a resort. That's a slam bam jam, baby!
There we go, folks. As we get ready to come back from our break, going to wrap up this final segment. Again, thanks to our sponsors for supporting us. It's funny, I just happened to glance at my phone, guys, and I won't even honor the guy by saying his name, but he's listed as a public figure. And the comment he makes is Simone Biles quits on her team and the left celebrates it. So to Orlando's point, clearly politicians are. They're trying. Oh, the left celebrates this fake patriotism, and these are the same guys who passed on the draft. I know that's the issue that we talked about before, but these are the same guys who passed on the draft, and they sit there and beat their chest. But anyway, I won't give that any more of a platform.
One thing, these politicians make me sick. It's the worst that it's ever been in this country, and it makes me sick. You had hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people in Texas with no power, houses destroyed, and couldn't get a politician on the phone, couldn't get them to do anything. But they want to vote on if Texas can leave the Big 12 to play football or not. that's what are we talking about here? It's ridiculous.
Let's let you know what's popping. But we at that part, top 5 dead or alive. And my guy Aaron,
what you got, Aaron?
He got ready.
What you got, Aaron?
Aaron is ready.
Time to back it up, man. Time to back it up, Mr. Mays.
Aaron came with this. He said James, Bird, Durant, Elgin Baylor, and I guess there's a split between Irvin and Havlicek. What's wrong? I had to give Hondo props. Doc changed the small forward position. What you shaking your head and rolling your eyes for?
Patrick's top 5 too. That's Patrick's
top
5
in a row. It's 2 weeks in a row. You still my top 5.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
In a row, you still my top 5.
Y'all colluding. Come on, y'all. Hey, John, is this Oklahoma and Texas over here colluding? What is going on?
I don't know, but I just saw his face.
I know.
As you were reading it, I'm looking at Patrick and I said, damn, they damn near identical here.
2 weeks in a row, man.
I tell you what, man, to your point, Shannon Sharp made a comment a long time ago when he started the show. He would always go back, guys, and watch the show in his to critique himself. And I think his agent or somebody said, man, don't do that. You go burn out. So, I allow myself, but I'm going to go back and watch this part because, Patrick, the face you made when you looked up and you were like, and at first I was like, damn, Patrick don't like, but you said, this dude got mine. Now, you know what? Y'all like blood brothers, man. Like it's something going on.
Mr. Mays, Aaron Mays, you jocking my style, man.
So Aaron, just so you know, man, your guy Patrick, your nemesis, if you will. Y'all, you know what? When I joined my organization, I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. When I joined in college, they have a night called Personal Night where you get paired with somebody. And I was like, just don't. And actually, the guy's name was Aaron. I said, y'all just bet not put me with Aaron. They was like, you just like him. So the person I despise, I end up getting paired with became my purse because everybody like, dog. No, I quote, y'all just alike. Aaron said, Patrick, that's just great. No, Patrick, your face, man, and John, you saw it was priceless.
You're right, Aaron. It is. It is great. You're right.
No, okay, so because I got you in real time right now, take me through why these that he has that you are in agreement with, Patrick. Take me through that.
Okay, let's start off number 1. He's got the order correct as well. Let's go number 1 here. LeBron James is the greatest player to ever touch a ball outside of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I never knew you felt that way. Thank you. I like that.
He's a second. Him and Kareem are the greatest to ever touch a ball. I think that they were born to play. It just came naturally, born with a type of freak, once in a lifetime type of stuff. Okay. Then you got Larry Bird, who wasn't the fastest, didn't jump the highest, but truly at its true definition, if you were to put bucket getter in the dictionary, Larry Bird's picture would be in it.
So under the definition of bucket, there's a
straight up bucket getter.
There's a picture of Larry like this,
shooting a jumper.
It says walking bucket.
Just a walking bucket, just pure bucket.
Yeah,
he also passed the ball extremely well. He also rebounded. He had a nose for the ball. He was a pure basketball player. He was not your run-in-the-mill AAU kid these days where he was just relying on athleticism to be up there with the big boys. He was a true, pure basketball player.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, I believe he did he do 4 MVPs in a row or 3 MVPs in a row? It was something weird. Like, I think the first 5 years of his career, he had 4 MVPs. League MVPs. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's true, but I know he did 3 in a row for a fact. But I'm not sure if he did that 4th one. But I know he's got 4. Plus he's got the 4 rings he played against. And, he played in the times where, like, Orlando and my dad were talking about is, like, you hurt yourself, you rub some dirt on it. You rub some dirt on it and you keep playing.
And he also played at a critical time for the NBA, where the NBA, as you know, John,
they were in a downswing.
Yeah, of collapsing. And then he played into, for lack of a better term, the race game between him and Magic. he was a willing participant. But I think what I like is, from what I got, he didn't play the superiority card. He was humble. He was like, man, I grew up playing with brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. But that I won't go. I won't keep rehashing the same point as you get ready to finish your players. I think people wanted to throw that fake patriotism on him, but he wouldn't play it. He wouldn't go that route. He didn't play that. You know, he didn't play that up.
The hick from French Lick.
The hick from French Lick. They said that he would.
He was so down to earth and such an average person that he really hurt his NBA career because he was putting in his mother's driveway.
Yeah.
You know, he was down there working on the cement himself. He was down there on his hands and knees.
He said the fellas would be waiting for him the brothers would be waiting for him at the bus stop when he got off. Like, come on, man, let's see what you got. Some more. Let's keep going. We got James, we got Bird. Who else you got? Who else you and your twin brother Aaron got? Now look. Now, John, I ain't trying to put the business out here now. Is this all coming to pass with these other kids coming around? Go ahead.
You got Kevin Durant.
Okay, Dizzle.
I put him up there not because of his championships, not because of anything. He's in the top 5 of small forwards because he is the greatest offensive asset that we've seen in basketball.
Easy money sniper. I won't argue with that because you can't do nothing.
He's the perfect weapon. He's the perfect weapon in your offensive arsenal. And that's all I'm going to say about him.
I mean, assassin, one of their greatest tools is the ability to kill you from a far distance.
Right.
I mean, that's what he is,
Yeah.
So we got the Irvin Havlicek split. What's up with that?
Well, we got Elgin Baylor first. You can't never Baylor. My dog had that finger wave going. You know what I'm saying? He had that thing fried down and laid to the side, like they said back in the day.
Yeah, you got it.
In all the documentaries you see him in or all the pictures and stuff, he always had like a real cool suit on, not no shirt and tie. He always had on like a nice shirt underneath. He always seemed like he was super cool. Over his career in the NBA, he averaged 27 over a career. That's prolific. That's going to get buckets on a nightly basis.
No 3-point line.
With no 3-point line. We getting buckets, major buckets. Yeah.
That's major.
Then when you go back and look at them, you got to give them so much credit because a lot of those guys back in those days didn't work out like these guys nowadays. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't the same. Trainers didn't know as much about the body. The whole way of sports have just had this whole evolution.
Yeah, they was playing Chuck Taylors, man.
But this guy was built like an NFL wide receiver. I mean, he was built. You know what I mean? He was ahead of his time physically, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So and he's NBA champion. So awesome. And then that
Havlicek, where are you at with that?
That Havlicek split is tough, man. It's really tough. They'd have to be A and B. But one other guy I feel like we're forgetting about. Was James Worthy a power forward on paper?
No.
You say no, Patrick? I mean, John.
Do you know Lindsay at all? If James
on the trivia, what would I end up? Let's see.
Was James Worthy a 3 or a 4?
Kurt Rambis was the 4 on that team. Yep.
So you have Magic, Scott, Byron Scott.
Byron Scott and Magic were the guards.
James Worthy
was the 3.
Kareem at the 5.
Well, you know what? He was listed as small forward and power forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to have to just put him up there because Havlicek was probably one of the best basketball. He's got to be a top 25 guy of all time, right?
Yeah.
He won at Ohio State. He's a national champion in college. Played with Bobby Knight and what was their best player's name? Jerry Lucas.
Yep.
Jerry Lucas. So he's a college legend and
lost 2 games in 3 years.
They only lost 2 games in 3 years. That's crazy. Wow. And then he had this just ridiculous, what do you call it? Dream storybook. You couldn't write it any better with writers in Hollywood. Career with the Celtics. Non-stop all-star games, non-stop finals play, winning rings. I mean, just ridiculous. Patrick, about Worthy, I was thinking the same way. Stop thinking the same way.
Hey, John.
Stop stealing my stealer.
Is Aaron your unclaimed son, man? Your unclaimed, that fact separated at birth that y'all are finally coming back together.
But you gotta put Worthy up there because he was a part of Showtime, which is one of the most prolific offenses we've ever seen.
He's probably underrated. He's probably overlooked because of the shadow of Magic and just the Lake Show. But no, Big Game James was there to play, man.
He had to run the floor and he had to be good enough to run the floor and an athlete to make them buckets. He was a deer on that.
Sometimes being so good can hurt you because he was so seamless and like water. It was just so easy that you almost couldn't appreciate him because of how consistent he was, and he was just there for it, in and out. You know, they were like, "Oh, that's James." You know, that's James Worthy. But I used to say his name when I was at the Y, hooping like Worthy.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh yeah,
you know? Great mid-range game.
He had a great. Yeah, he did. He could go. And he had a hell of a career in North Carolina.
Yeah, but also too, I think with James, because he didn't have an ego on the court, there was no flair. He was just trotting back down. I mean, he wore glasses. You know, he wore the goggles. You know, so that was the thing with it too. Also, early on, I want to say that Aaron did say, Patrick, he came in peace. And as I go to you, John, Aaron had a question for you. He said, what do you think about Rick Barry in general? And I mean, you know, your top 5 dead or alive small forwards as well, John.
Rick Barry was a great scorer. He was a great
beast.
I mean, he did something in the NBA Finals that was unreal when they took down the Bullets. But Rick Barry could shoot that basketball, and maybe one of the greatest free throw shooters of all time.
Yeah.
Shoot underhand.
I believe over a career he was over 90%.
Aaron's right. He's another guy. He's another guy. Rick Barry, tremendous player.
Sure. Now, do you want to share your top 5, or you want to go with what Patrick has shared? Was that the Rutherford household top 5? Did you want to share?
I think my dad agreed with my top 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no problem.
I guess the Rutherford family, John, Patrick, and the extended family, Aaron, all agreed on who top 5 was going to be.
Well, one of my favorite players of all time was John Havlicek. And I mean, you want to talk about here again the brilliance of Red Auerbach.
Man,
he sees this, and not everybody. He comes with a class that was like Oscar Robertson, Walt Bellamy. That was the 1960 Olympic team. Havlicek was on that team, but he wasn't seen as going to the next step, the NBA, like Red Auerbach. And as a rookie, he intercepts the inbounds pass to win Game 7 of the NBA championship as a rookie. So, I mean, 13 times an All-Star, 11-time All-NBA team, 11 times.
Oh, man, that's great.
What a pleasure to watch him play. And you want to talk about a relentless defender.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. And pass the basketball.
What was his size?
About 6'5", maybe.
Man.
So he wasn't towering. Well, that's good.
I mean, and then to watch Dr. J and James Worthy run the wing and run on a fast break was just, I mean, it was poetry in motion. I mean, when the Sixers were good, there was no better TV than Boston, Philly playing against one another on a Sunday afternoon. Was a must-see TV.
Moses Malone.
I mean, God, those guys used to go and Magic and, I mean, Bird and Dr. J going at one another. And the day that they end up fighting, and Dr. J, Bird grabs Dr. J by the throat after Dr. J punches him. I mean, you want to talk about, here's some of the greatest players in the world, But baby, it's about who's the dog and who's gonna win that battle right then and there. You want to talk about guys put it all on the floor at the best ability in the world? God, it was a pleasure to watch.
Before we transition to the last segment, I'm just curious, and of course we didn't have social media to give us the what for, but how did that play out after Bird and Dr. J fought? I mean,
Magic, Dr. J?
No. We're talking about Dr. J and Bird fought. Right. Did that ever get reconciled publicly? Was it pushed under the rug? Because again, we didn't have the social media to keep it going, but it's almost like a footnote that no one even talks about.
Well, I mean, there was just bad blood, okay, and there wasn't, the nothing was ever said publicly or on television and stuff until the Bad Boys got beat by Boston and Dennis Rodman called Bird if he's black, he'd sit the bench. I mean, he wouldn't be a star.
Which is so false.
Ridiculous. I mean, but the social media was when you went to the neighborhood bar or around the water cooler at the work was the social media. And when you talk to your friends on the phone, but one thing I noticed that a lot of people were just really they were really watching because you had these two guys, Dr. J and Bird, just going after one another, and I mean, just minute, second after second, possession after possession, and it gets physical, and they, after a while, when that whistle blows or that whistle doesn't blow, and you get this, and then you get this, and then you get, I mean, that's just the natural order of the way basketball, because I've said this because I'm old school, comes down to that schoolyard, baby. It comes down, and that's what Dr. J and Larry Bird brought to the NBA, and what Magic brought to the NBA was, hey, baby, if I lose, I'm going to sit down. I may not be able to get picked again for an hour, so I ain't losing.
Now, I agree with
and that's what made basketball so intriguing.
And now that's why I can't watch it unless it's the playoffs going near the finals, because, when you get guys playing defense, turn my way a little bit. You get guys playing defense and you hit them and they throw their head up and all this stuff, like, It used to be like, come on, man, like you like even like you just go back to my time and I'm young, bro. You would get knocked down on the ground by a big or something, bro. You hopped up as fast as possible. I don't care if it hurt or not. You ain't want anybody on the court to think you were weak. You didn't want anybody to think, oh, he's soft. He can't even take a little foul.
I played high school football at one of the best programs. Every year I played in high school, we were ranked in the top 5 in the state. And we had a coach.
What school was that again?
The high school football team I played on was ranked in the top 5 every year.
I was trying to get the name of it just so we can make reference.
Denby High School.
Denby. All right.
We won 26 consecutive games, 30 some in the league, but we had a coach. If I got to go out on the field, if you're hurt, you're not playing anymore today.
Okay, well then you didn't. Well then nobody got hurt then.
I played in what they called the Goodfellow game, which was the biggest game in that time in 1966.
It was considered the state championship because back in those days they didn't let Detroit teams play in the state championship.
There was no state tournament in football.
Right.
It was the Catholic League champ versus the public school league champ at Tiger Stadium on a Friday night.
How many fans?
And it was 50,000 fans, plus it would be on Channel 4. Wow. And it was all went to charity, and it was a huge event. Front page of the Free Prisoner News come Friday morning, the day of the game. And my locker partner was Pat Piper, and he was the tight end, and he kicked off for us, and he broke his arm in 2 spots on the opening kickoff. He never said nothing until he came back to school on Monday with a cast. So, I mean, it just was a different era. It was a different time. And
I'll even say this: if we're sharing war stories growing up in Detroit as a high school player, but also just playing in the park, man, being successful and going over to somebody else's neighborhood, Patrick, beating them guys, having to fight your way up out the park to where they keep calling guys that's older and older, and you keep beating them until finally somebody says something about your mama and swing on you, and you got to fight your way up out the park. And it's unfortunate, but your heart ain't beat it and had to beat fast. So you had to be like.
He played football games, away games. They threw stones and tried to break the windows in the bus, and crazy. They had to wear their helmets on to get on the bus. They had to keep their helmets on the ride home.
To stay safe.
But we've also talked. Me and my dad, we've talked. It to me personally, I don't know if everybody makes the same observation, but every generation is tougher before. Like each generation gets weaker in a way. Like my granddad played football where the helmets, you took them off, you fold them up, you put them in your back pocket. Okay? They were just leather flaps. Okay? They beat the crap out of each other. The quarterback was a running back. They didn't throw the ball like they do now.
Yeah, well, that's when people died playing football.
It was a straight physical brute game.
Well, that's when they had to bring all the colleges together to change the game because there was too many deaths on the football field.
Yeah,
literally.
Absolutely. Then the thing that amazes me the most about basketball, you take it back 30, 40, 50 years ago, you watch a game, I watch a game with my dad, and I say, Dad, look how tight this thing is, man. It's so much more court, and everybody in this little paint, everybody working, trying to get a shot off in the same spot. Now it's all spread out and stuff, like it's just there's evolution in sports, and I like the way the game is now spread out. I like the 3-point shooting and stuff like that, but I don't like the flopping and the always trying to get a foul call. I really think it affects the game. When you see somebody as dominant and as big as Joel Embiid, going up and falling on the floor and stuff like this, you're thinking to yourself like, bro, don't you want to be the king of the court and never fall once? Like, don't you want to just dominate everybody without fouling, like without falling and trying to play for a foul? Like, I really can't watch it during the regular season. I really can't.
It can get you like that. It's a different set of standards.
But
so with the remaining
basketball, I can watch every game.
Them boys playing with a different kind of heart. We got a few minutes, guys. I want to use that to have a brief summary of tonight's draft. I guess the first question I can ask you guys about the draft that'll be on in about 26 minutes is, as it relates to us in Detroit, will Cade be coming to Detroit? I guess the first question I ask you guys, do you expect Cade Cunningham to be drafted by the Pistons? And I just want to give both of you guys an overview of the draft with the remaining time we have just to get your thoughts before we wrap up.
Go ahead, Patrick.
First of all, I want to say this is the first time in a couple of years where I feel like it's actually a good draft.
Okay.
I really think last year was garbage. I really did.
Talk about this year.
And but this year, like I'm really excited about this year because I feel like there are players that are going to make impacts, not necessarily their very first year or the next year, but like Jalen Green. I believe the experts. I believe he's a 25-point guy. I really do. Cade Cunningham, I think that he is a franchise carrier. And I think that his progression will go faster than a lot of the other guys in the draft. That's why he's number one. But you got Mobley. Mobley is like, man, I'd have such a hard time with number two. One, you got to pick Cade Cunningham, but two, being a general manager, man, that's a tough place to be in because Houston, you really can go with any pick because they've got nothing. So, it's not like you already drafted a good point guard and a shooting guard, like your backcourt's perfect.
Right.
and Mobley's the automatic choice.
I mean,
you don't have
does
anything.
it make you think Greg Odom, Kevin Durant draft type situation?
I can't make that a comparison because I would have just grabbed Kevin Durant. I don't see why.
Oh, don't tell me that you would just grab.
That's not even clear. Come on. Look, we were coming into this at the NBA at the time. We were kind of coming away from bigs.
Yeah,
it was starting to be.
You don't let a 7-footer go though. That was the rule. You still don't let a 7-footer go. You know.
And what is Kevin Durant now? What are he progressing to? When he left college, he was 6'9", now he's 7 foot.
You know what, brother? I can't argue with that. So you're thinking that Detroit will go with Cade?
Yes, definitely.
Cade's going to be the best selection in this draft.
Definitely, yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
About 2 hours ago.
Definitely.
Sorry, John. I'll go to you to get your thoughts on this draft. Just what do you think? Is Detroit going to be bringing in Cade Cunningham?
Yeah, they confirmed about 2 hours ago that they're going to take Cade Cunningham, and I think it's a smart move. I watched him play a lot this past year, and I was impressed with his overall game, and I like him. I think he was definitely the player to pick, number one. Now, I've talked to more than one guy that works for NBA teams, and they think that this draft is deep, and they talk about a regular season draft. That this draft is long and deep for regular season players. But everybody's anxious to see.
I would agree with that.
What they are going to do next year. Because this year in the NBA, basketball guys were happy that they let it be as physical as they did in the paint. Okay. And they want that to stay that way. So because they thought that it made for better basketball. But these guys that I talked to said they don't know how many of these guys that they are talking about making the draft deep are going to be impact players next year when it comes time to playoff basketball.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
But it's a deep draft. I talked to one guy, and he told me that there's second round picks that are going to make teams.
Oh yeah,
and that's that's usually that's not usual.
I believe there's going to be players that come out this year that might not get drafted that make NBA rosters, like Butler from Baylor.
The guard.
Yeah, he's not. He's late second round, maybe not get picked. Davion Mitchell is the highest pick off their roster.
Let's talk about.
I even talked to a guy yesterday, Lindsay, that said he thought Denver was going to take Aaron Henry in the first round.
You read my mind. We must be fans. I was going to ask you, what did you think about Aaron Henry or the local guys and what's going on?
This guy told me. He said he thinks Denver's going to take him in the first round.
Well, and I wonder if that had a lot to do with Aaron having that experience, before going and saying, what do you need me to working on those things, and just, the type of player.
He hired a prolific guy. He went to work. He got signed by an agent.
Octagon.
Yeah, and he got sent to this guy. And I understand he was doing real well. Then he got hurt. He hurt himself and had to sit down for a while. But this guy yesterday told me he thinks he's gonna go to Denver in the first round.
And one thing that goes well for, and I know you have something you want to share, Patrick. The one thing that goes well for a guy like Aaron Henry is that at the end of the day, and you know this, John, very well, those guys are going to call his coach, and his coach has a lot of sway. And I've even heard, I've had some of those coaches tell me that they get calls for guys that didn't even play for them. And that's the kind of influence, Tom Izzo on this program has. So that has to work in his favor And then, you know what, Aaron carried things. I mean, he truly was a leader. I mean, I remember talking to him after the game against Duke, and he's jumping up and down, coaching alongside Izzo and the staff. Like, get there. And I think that has to bode well. Patrick, you have some things to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, like about Aaron Henry. Like, there's one thing that you guys can't forget about Aaron. He has the type of game that is NBA ready. Like, he's not necessarily like what he was playing at Michigan State. They ran the offense through him, so he got points, but he's not necessarily that. Like,
so what do you see him playing? What do you see him playing? The 3? The 2 or the 3?
No, he's definitely gonna play the 2. But if you think about it, he has pro athleticism. He has athleticism for the NBA. He can run and jump.
He has the ability to be explosive. He does have the ability to be explosive.
Yeah, he can run and jump with anybody in the world at an elite level. He can run and jump at an elite level. The game will now be more open. If he can get a constant jumper going, then they'll have to respect it. And when he goes to the rack, he'll be able to athletically finish because there's not a person there half the time.
He can pick up.
The game will open. Some guys have a game that translate better in the NBA than it was in college. I believe he's one of those guys. I believe that he'll look better in the NBA than he did at Michigan State. I think that about him.
And I would also say, in finality, that talking to him after those games, he was already talking like a next level guy, right, as far as the responsibility, the maturity, and it's almost, to your point, Patrick, it doesn't look as good when the NBA guy is in the college program, but when he goes there, he may have the ability to have a very, very long career. I just want to stop on that point. I want to thank you guys, man, for holding it down. We had Coach O earlier. My guy Terry is out here trying to do some big deals. Hopefully we'll get him back next week.
Summer League ball should be fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. You're right. We got something to look forward to as well. Yeah. I want to thank Aaron Mays and all that he's contributed, all our other folks who've shared. And just with that, we can wrap up. This is Lindsey Hudson with SPS. Thank you to our sponsors, the Rachel Williams Foundation. What you about to say? You about to say something to Aaron?
Yeah. Hey, Aaron, I appreciate you all here, man. You sharpening my skills, dog. Steel sharpen steel, man.
Listen, I'll tell you this. Next week, when we go to power forwards, if y'all got 4 of the 5, we shut the show down.
I get to go first, so he jocking me.
Well, it don't matter because see, Aaron sent me all this stuff. It just Aaron, all props to Aaron. Aaron hit me up at 11 o'clock this morning. I got mine. I'm ready. He hit me up at 11. He been ready. Wait, you guys are great. I appreciate it. We're going to get out of here again. Thank you to Rachel Williams Foundation, Gilead Sciences, as well as the Dick Sporting Good and Team Lindsey Hudson SPS with the Rutherford crew. See you guys next time. Thanks.
One love.